The most brutal part of Tiger Woods' TGL return wasn't that he lost. It was that the match basically taught everyone the same lesson, at a brand new speed, about what comeback really means. Because yes, Tiger came back after an Achilles tear and all the rehab that comes with it. But in this indoor team event, momentum doesn't just swing, it detonates. And when Los Angeles locked in with those aggressive, high-value hole swings, Jupiter Lynx couldn't catch their breath, ending up losing 9-2 and sealing the SoFi Cup with plenty of time to spare. What makes this really interesting is how this single night becomes a window into modern pro sports storytelling. The body, the mind, the format, and the audience all collide. Personally, I think people fixate on whether Tiger looked like himself. But the deeper question is whether the whole competitive system, setup, pacing, pressure, and scoring incentives, can support a veteran rebuilding in real time. And that's what I want to unpack, not just what happened, but why it happened, what it implies about elite performance after major injury, and what fans often misunderstand when they talk about comebacks like they're simple returns. Let's start with the obvious headline. Jupiter Lynx brought Tiger back for what was his first TGL appearance in over a year. The context matters because this wasn't a minor tweak or a quick rest. He'd torn his Achilles, then later had disc replacement surgery, and during the 2026 season he stayed involved in a non-playing capacity. From my perspective, that timeline alone already changes how you should interpret every shot. If you've never been hurt at that level, you probably imagine athletes turning it on once they're cleared. But comeback isn't a switch, it's a long process of relearning confidence in your movement, rebuilding rhythm, and slowly reintroducing risk. What many people don't realize is that in golf, especially at the elite level, rust isn't just about swing mechanics. It's about decision-making under pressure, how quickly you trust the club head, how comfortably you commit your body, and whether your brain automatically protects itself by playing safer than you want. Personally, I think the fact he said pre-match that he expected to be rusty is a huge tell. Pros rarely admit uncertainty unless it's genuinely relevant, and that honesty lets us see this not as a performance evaluation, but as an experiment under real match constraints. Now here's the first big turning point. Jupiter Lynx didn't start the way they needed to, and then Los Angeles surged with an early belief that the match was theirs. Tiger even helped create a lead early. His first full swing featured a 272-yard three-wood that set up a birdie on a par 5 second. I want to slow down on that, because it's easy for fans to treat highlight shots as proof of recovery. Personally, I think the more telling detail is the scoring context around them. In team formats like TGL, one good swing can be buried if the opposing team wins the subsequent sequence of high-value holes. So when Jupiter jumped ahead 2-0 after Tiger's contributions, plus his successful lag on a par 5 fourth, it probably felt like the comeback narrative was unfolding the way people wanted. But then Los Angeles clawed back, and the match shifted from Tiger is back to Tiger is back, inside a format that punishes hesitation. That's the part viewers often miss. A detail I find fascinating is how the match value system works through tactics like hammer scoring, where certain holes become worth more points. That means the pressure isn't linear. You don't just play for par anymore, you're playing for point swings. From my perspective, that's why the match got lopsided fast. When momentum transfers from one team to the other, it's not just emotional, it's mathematical. Suddenly, even good golf may not feel good enough because the next bad outcome costs extra. As the holes went on, Tiger had moments, like finding a long stinger off the 6th and making a birdie to help Los Angeles level things. He also had chances at putting in short game pressure, including a missed par putt on the 7th and a bunker shot that didn't quite finish on the 8th. But here's the opinion part. Those are exactly the kinds of, almost moments, that define injured comebacks. Personally, I think people over-romanticize comebacks. They picture a dramatic return where every shot is effortless. Reality is messy. Your body tells you not yet, through fractions of seconds, through a fraction of trust, through a putt that leaves you hanging. And indoor golf compresses that learning curve. The environment, faster pacing, closer eyes, less room for drift, forces you to stabilize faster than you might on a traditional course. The scoreline tells the rest of the story. Los Angeles secured big advantages, with sequences where both teams used hammer throws and where Los Angeles either converted birdies or denied Jupiter's comeback chances. By the time it reached the later stages, Jupiter found themselves trailing deeply, and Los Angeles effectively controlled the match. Personally, I think the steamrolled at the end line matters because it's about response time. In match play formats, teams don't just need to play well, they need to respond well to being hurt. If you get hit and you can't re-anchor quickly, mentally or tactically, the score expands. Tiger himself pointed to key turning moments, including a run of eagles by Los Angeles and arguments about missing a short putt at the beginning that doesn't just cost a stroke, it hands momentum to the other side. And that's the deeper question this match raises. How much of recovery is physical, and how much of it is your ability to prevent early momentum transfer? In my opinion, this is where Tiger's honesty becomes almost instructional. He wasn't making excuses. He was identifying that a few early chances slipped, then the other team made the exact kinds of high-impact plays that swing team events. Now let's zoom out beyond TGL for a moment, because the real storyline fans care about is the possibility of a Masters return. Woods hasn't played a PGA Tour event since missing the cut at the Open in July 2024, and he's only completed a full 72-hole tournament 4 times in the past 5 years due to injuries. From my perspective, that statistic is brutal, not because it means he can't compete, but because it changes how we interpret readiness. When recovery becomes multi-year, you're no longer just restoring skill. You're rebuilding survivability, how your body holds up across repeated days of stress. And Tiger's comments about the body not recovering like it did when he was 24 or 25 are the most human part of the whole situation. Personally, I think fans sometimes treat athletes like perpetual machines. But age and injury history change recovery biology. What this really suggests is that a potential Masters comeback won't be judged only by scoring. It'll be judged by how long his body stays stable in the grind, practice, competition, travel, restabilizing, repeat. And even Tiger frames it in a way that shows uncertainty while keeping hope alive. He wants to play, he loves the tournament, and he's making incremental progress. That's a mindset I admire, because it's both optimistic and realistic. One thing that immediately stands out is how different the preparation can be depending on the format. TGL is shorter, faster, and designed for point swings. The Masters is a full tournament where endurance and rhythm across 4 rounds are critical. Personally, I think that means we shouldn't treat this TGL match as a direct scoreboard prediction for Augusta. It's a stress test in a specific arena, one that teaches timing and trust, but not necessarily the exact survival demands of 72 holes. Still, the value is real. Competing, even if you lose, gives you data. It reveals what parts of the swing are stable, which shots cost more effort, and how your nervous system responds when the score turns against you. In closing, I want to leave you with my takeaway: comebacks aren't just about return. They're about adaptation to a new reality, your body's new limits, your brain's new habits, and even the format's new incentives. Tiger's night in TGL ended in defeat, but it also showed something valuable. He's back in the arena, and the world is watching the process instead of pretending it's a miracle. So here's the question I'm left with: if the biggest challenge is preventing early momentum loss while rebuilding trust, how should we measure progress? By wins, by swing feel, or by how quickly a player can recover mentally when the match punishes them? If you were watching this live, what did you notice most? Tiger's physical execution, the team momentum shifts, or the scoring dynamics that made the match spiral? Tell me your take.